From the Asgard Company Studios in beautiful Wichita Falls, Texas, from the finest mind in the modern fitness industry, the one true voice in the strength and conditioning profession, the most important podcast on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, starting Strength Radio. Welcome back to Starting Strength Radio. It's Friday. So what? Fucking Friday. Happens once a week. It's no big deal, but here we are, and it's Friday. And we're here with our friend Justin Nazaroff from the socialist hellhole of Novi, Michigan today. And
looking like that.
Thanks for being on the show today, Justin. I've never actually met Justin. He looks like a young, ugly version of me, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. He's got more hair still.
Not quite as pink.
Not quite as pink. That's because you live in a cloudy wasteland up there that doesn't ever have any sun and shit. You never go outside because you build ammo all day. You're hand loading all day, I guess.
It's been 95 degrees all week, about 50% humidity. So
that's about exactly what it is right here right now. I think maybe it's 99, and it may be. It's been raining about every 30 minutes here, just enough to make it feel like Maryland, you know, just enough. And it's just, God almighty, the fucking yard won't quit growing. So you got to go outside this shit and mow the yard. Oh, this is ugly. Yeah, usually by now the yards are all dead. Do you have dead yards up there, or is it green all year?
No, they'll stay green for the most part. We get enough rain that it keeps it alive.
Typically, we have 2 months of not mowing a yard, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. So anyway,
I mean, I prefer that, to be honest. But
I would too. I do too. I don't like mowing the damn yard. You get all weird colored. People make fun of me.
Well, you could be like California and just replace your whole lawn with rocks because they're not allowed to water it. So.
Like Las Vegas, Phoenix.
Thing, I think.
It's Las Vegas and Phoenix. Those may be the same city. I mean, there's casinos in one and no casinos in the other, but other than that, I can't tell the difference. They're both hot wastelands with no grass, and
everybody's a weird kind of grayish, brownish sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Skin cancer. Number one industry in town. I mean, if I was a dermatologist, I'd move to either Phoenix or Las Vegas. I'd have offices in both cities. Is what I would do.
Yeah.
That way, I would be busy all day long. What's Bree looking off to? She's going, rolling her eyes and shit. What is?
She's like, I wish I was brown and gray.
She is brown. She pays a lot of money for that. Dude. She got to just have her start mowing my yard. All right, Bree, you're hired. Mow my yard next week. All right, good. That way I know it'll be done correctly. So what the hell are we talking to Justin today for? Well, I'll tell you. He's got a company called Fenix Ammunition, and they've got a Facebook page. Yeah. Well, or they had a Facebook page. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think that the social media companies are manipulating what you see and the way you receive that information, you are a naive little kid. They have been, Twitter and Facebook have been managing your information content for quite some time. And one way they do that is they fail to push your content to new listeners. And as a result of that, normal attrition makes your watcher count or friends or whatever they call it what do they call it on Twitter? Followers on Twitter go down. If they just don't promote you anymore, your follower numbers go down. Mine have been going down on my personal Twitter account. I don't even know how to see how many followers or friends or whatever the hell I have on Facebook. You keep track of that, don't you, Bree? Has it been kind of steady or been going down?
I think everything's going down.
Everything's going down because We hadn't played along with the COVID-19 shit. I won't wear a mask on the podcast like a psychopath. What kind of psychopath wears a mask on a podcast? It's been done. I mean, I've seen people do it. But, so Facebook just took you guys just off the air, right?
Yeah, so what happened was there was a anti-gun journalist, I'll summarize it that way, who wrote an article about our company and a few others, which got published on Monday of last week.
What did he say in the article? What giant pieces of shit you were, and how many people you personally have killed, and
even better,
that kind of shit.
Not only that, but we are single-handedly providing all of the arms, all of the small arms for the coming race war, because of course, the only people who believe in the Second Amendment are white supremacists and whatnot.
Right. Oh yeah, that's been obvious for hundreds of years. So, God Almighty.
Despite the fact that we are members of the National African American Gun Association as a company.
They don't exist.
Of course,
they don't exist. That's right-wing propaganda, white supremacist propaganda. Also, that organization didn't actually real. They don't actually exist.
Basically, they had some specific issues with us, talking about the Boogaloo, which you've mentioned a couple of times here and there.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's kind of what I'm most interested in. All right. Now, so you guys sent me this wonderful shirt.
Yes.
And, I normally don't dress in loud colors like this. I normally favor the 3 to a pack navy blue, 100% cotton Hanes T-shirts, that I wear with my green Carhartt pants. And that's my normal deal. But you guys sent me this beautiful shirt. And I opened it up, and I thought, well, fuck, it's a Hawaiian shirt. What a wonderful deal. It's a Hawaiian shirt. And then, I didn't even look at it. I just put it on. And I thought, well, Hawaiian shirts are kind of cool. I got friends in Hawaii. I probably ought to wear a shirt every once in a while from Hawaii. So I put it on. And then I noticed that there's a gun somewhere on the stem. Here he is.
Yeah.
There's a bird.
Right in the chest.
There's a bird.
I'm sorry, right on the bottom corner.
It's right there. I got it right there. There's an AR
There you go.
of some sort, adjustable stock looking creature. And what kind of bird is that?
I'm not sure. Some kind of a toucan.
Oh, that's a toucan. Oh, I see him. He's a toucan. I got it.
Yeah.
You guys sawed his beak in half with your zipper.
Yeah.
All right. I like to. I just keep my earbud maintenance time. They just won't stay in. I don't have sufficient earwax to grab and hold them in. So I like to keep the shirt open because it exposes my masculine, hairy chest to hundreds of thousands of potential mates. Especially here on this popular podcast, the hit podcast, Starting Strength Radio, the most important podcast in this industry. So, poor fucking toucan, look at him. Sawed his beak in half. So, anyway, I wore this thing. When did I wear this? It's been a month or two. It was a Q&A episode, right? And then people in the comments said, Rip, is that a Boogaloo shirt you're wearing? And I said, what the fuck is a Boogaloo shirt? I never heard the word before. And suddenly people are asking me about a Boogaloo shirt. And I had no idea what the hell that term actually meant, and I'm not sure I still do. So would you just go over this real quick? Am I now not only a white supremacist, but a Nazi?
Probably. So the Boogaloo is more or less the term that we in the hardcore gun culture, internet meme culture community use as a substitute for what the prepper guys used to say in the old days, which was when shit hits the fan. So
Right.
you're preparing for the worst. And
Right.
I've been saying that stuff for 10, 15 years. I'm not the kind of guy that's building a bomb shelter in his backyard or anything, but I'm an American guy that has a little bit of food and water on hand and a backup generator, and people think that makes you crazy. So
Yeah. Remember you mean the people think you're crazy, the ones that were standing in line to get toilet paper 3 months ago?
Exactly.
Didn't have anything to wipe their ass on, and
Yeah.
you're crazy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
I
ones
see.
living in a
I understand.
high-rise apartment building downtown somewhere that don't own a car and are
Right.
still cowering in fear
Under the
from
kitchen table because of
coronavirus.
the
Yeah,
coronavirus wafting around in the atmosphere.
yeah, exactly.
Just the wind blows it.
That's
It's like
so
pollen.
dangerous.
It's pollen.
It's so dangerous.
like pollen.
You have to wear a mask all the time. But in order to test it, they've got to stick a fucking Q-tip all the way down your throat.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they can't just swab
Which
your mouth.
is perfectly safe, right? Oh, God, somebody's beeping on me here. It's Rogan.
Is that Rogan again?
Yeah, it's Rogan. God damn it. I don't know how many times I have to tell him. Let me just turn the beeper off so he won't bother me. I really get tired of him. I really do. This constant nag, nag, nag. Rip, come on the show. Rip, we need you on the show. Your perspective is important. Fuck off, Joe. Talk to Louis Simmons again, man. I don't care. So anyway, the boogaloo. Where'd the word come from? I'm still. I was confused. I was awfully confused 30 years ago. I didn't know what Pac-Man meant. What the hell did Pac? Well, I mean, it's a little guy that does this. He's a man. What does Pac mean? These words mean things. Like Donkey Kong. Remember that? The hell was that all about? Donkey Kong, and it wasn't a donkey. It was a monkey. Right? And of course, that's racism now, but at the time, it was just a video game. It was called Donkey Kong. And I never did understand. There's no donkey here. And a donkey, it's a Donkey. We know what a donkey is, right? Shrek reminded us what a donkey was, all right? So everybody, even if you don't know what a donkey is, you do, in fact, know what a donkey is. But those words mean, so what is boogaloo? What the fuck is that?
So the origin of the word boogaloo is a 1980s breakdancing movie. And so I really have never actually seen the movie. I don't know anything about it, but there was a sequel to this movie called Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. And
Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. So
I somehow missed that one.
The premise is that the boogaloo is the second of something. And so they said, okay, if we're going to have a second American Revolution, instead of saying when shit hits the fan, we'll call it the boogaloo because it's the second coming of the American Revolution.
That is a damned tenuous relationship.
Yeah, very, very tenuous.
I really somebody thought real hard about that.
One of the reasons it's so hilarious.
The boogaloo.
Yeah.
Because of this movie.
It's a great word. It's hilarious.
It's kind of a silly sounding word, but is there a dictionary definition for the word boogaloo? All right.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't.
I bet there is. I think
I
it's a
bet there's
dance. Isn't it refer to a dance of some sort? That's the thing that pops into my mind. It's like a dance.
It could be.
Well, our crack production staff is on the motherfucker. Let's see.
Rock and roll music, and it was popular in the 60s.
Say that real loud into that microphone that you've got right there.
It was a popular dance to rock and roll music, and it was popular in the 60s.
See, that's why it popped into my. What?
Go.
I knew that there was a dance, that the word referred to something with respect to a dance. That was what was in my mind when I heard the word boogaloo. But some idiot comes on on the YouTube comments, is that a Boogaloo shirt? And I'm thinking, well, like the dance, like it's a dance shirt. What the hell are we talking about? I don't dance. I hadn't danced in a long time. I used to be a pretty good dancer. You know, at one time I was a good dancer, but I mean, not at the rock and roll stuff, but when you hold the woman, you know, and that's of course sexist. But you hold the woman and you know, walk around on the dance floor to the beat of the music.
How dare you assume her gender?
But obviously, so that's
Canceled.
What is that transphobia? It's so many things to do wrong now. Is dancing legal? We still dance with COVID. With COVID and the gender situation, is dancing? We've got to need to campaign against that. So as long as you have a mask, you can dance. That's still gendering people, I think. So Boogaloo, you fucking internet kids have come up with this goddamn thing about the Boogaloo that is it's got to do with the coming Civil War.
Right.
Right?
So the
that
idea
we're
is
going to win.
that it's a collection of people that are generally fed up with the way things are going, and it's people who can foresee that as being the quite possible and maybe inevitable conclusion from continued unchecked power, and the idea that it seems even more obvious that we live in a tech oligarchy that is complicit in all of this. And so
you mean by that you mean people with their heads out of their asses.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
That's who you're talking about. Right? So does everybody, the logical question now is, does everybody who has their head out of their asses need one of these shirts?
I would think so, yeah. Yeah.
I guess so. Well, you guys need to ramp up production. So if they take you off of Facebook, do you have a website?
We do.
That they can't be taken off of Facebook?
So
what's that website?
Not only did they get rid of our Facebook, but they also got rid of our Instagram page, which, to be honest, is something that I use more for marketing than Facebook even.
Well, then let's have your website address. What's your web address? And we're going to start the process of converting you from these communist fucks to your own self-sufficiency on the internet. What's that website? Again?
It's www.
We don't need the www. Only old people say that. All right.
Well, you are a boomer, so.
Boomers. Yeah, well, that's me. I'm a boomer. So I am, right? I'm squarely a boomer. Squarely in the boomer camp. And so it's 3W, www. Just so
FenixAmmo.com.
FenixAmmo.com. Now, that's not Phoenix. That's FENIX.com. FenixAmmo.com. FenixAmmo.com. We'll put that up on the screen here. We'll prominently display that on the screen here. Those of you that are watching this podcast instead of merely listening to it on one of the outlets that we are permitted still to distribute this podcast, it's FenixAmmo.com. Right? Expect to be crashed.
We hope so.
We'll crash the website for you.
Please do.
So, you guys are selling these beautiful shirts, but what else do you sell? What do you sell through the website?
What do we do? So we sell. We manufacture ammunition products here, and we sell those through the website all over the country to all the states that we're permitted to ship to. Basically any state, every state that you could imagine we probably wouldn't be able to ship to, we can't ship to. California, Massachusetts,
New York,
right?
Connecticut, New fucking Jersey.
But we can't ship to New York City or Buffalo, but we can ship to the rest of the state. And Illinois is similar. We can't ship to Chicago, but we can ship to the rest of the state of Illinois.
Right.
and there are some other states that are that way as well. Hawaii we can't ship to because they're Democrat, and also because they're not on the mainland, which is also why we can't ship to Alaska, because ammo can't be shipped via air services, and it would have to obviously cross the border to go by ground, which would require an export permit. So
which would require them going through the socialist utopia of Canada.
Yes.
In which no one is permitted to.
They don't have the king's permission.
They don't. Canadians. I don't know. It's a sad situation up there. Some of those people are good people.
They're 30 minutes away from us. I could get to Canada in 45 minutes over the bridge. Not that I'd want to.
Well, but that's how close they are to us.
Yeah.
It's how close. People don't understand. There are Canadians south of New York City. That, it hangs down into the middle of the United States, which is, I don't know how. Why do we tolerate that? I don't. Why has this been tolerated? Why have we not annexed it?
I mean, you still love your little brother. It's just they're not. You just feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
They've messed up their lives.
It's a pity situation. All right. So anyway, so you guys sell ammunition, and these guys keep sending me this 44 mag stuff, and I appreciate it. They sent me 2 boxes of 44 mag, and I've got this all loaded in the 44 mags. I've got like 3 of those, and I've got Fenix ammo. I carry that gun with that loaded, but nobody shoots 44 mag, do they? No, I'm telling you, we don't want the damage to our wrists. Our wrists are old.
Boomers don't actually shoot their guns; they just collect them.
Yeah, that's primarily what I do.
Yeah.
I just have them.
Right.
I shoot a little bit, but not much, because it's so much trouble to go down to the range, even though it's at my house. It's just so much trouble. I'm always mowing. I just don't have time with all the mowing, so I don't get to shoot much. But I appreciate the ammo. But you're discontinuing that. That's what I hear, right?
Yeah, we our primary market is competitive shooters and people that take training classes, and revolver calibers just don't really sell. When we first got up and going 4 years ago, we did a lot of business at gun shows, and we've moved away from that as a sales channel. So we just don't really have a way to sell 38 Special and 44 Magnum, those kinds of calibers. Almost everybody's shooting 9mm these days.
Yeah, it's a vicious round. There's no doubt about it. When the cops got to shoot you 37 times with the 9mm to get you to stop doing that, I don't know. I remember that story from about 5 years ago. It's 38 Special story. This lady's in her house. This is in Georgia someplace. Lady's in her house. Georgia. Guy starts hammering on the kitchen door from the backyard, trying to break into the house. She runs up the stairs, goes into the bedroom, grabs her .38 revolver, and then hides in a closet. Little closet. Like 6 foot deep closet. Right? Guy runs up the stairs, rummaging around. I guess he was looking for her. He finally opens the closet door. She shot this guy. She fired all 6 rounds and hit him with 5 rounds. As this 38 Special. He goes back down the stairs, goes out the back door, goes around to the front of the house, gets in his car, and drives down the street.
Oh, my God.
And finally realizes about 2 blocks later, oh, shit, I'm shot, and runs into a tree.
Jeez.
Which indicates to me that a 38 Special is rather inadequate round to shoot somebody with.
It should indicate to you that she shot him in the wrong spot.
She did shoot him in the wrong. Had she been able, like a trained marksman, to put that thing in his eyeball, that fucker would have fallen down the stairs, not walked down the stairs.
Yeah. If you have a gun, you should train.
Nick, you're missing my point. And I know you're intentionally missing my point. As I know operator guys that say that the best carry gun's a .380.
I don't. Yeah.
You've heard that. You've heard it, right?
People say all kinds
Everybody
of
will.
shit.
Yeah, I have heard that. I've heard a million different opinions
Yeah,
over the
people say all kinds
years.
of shit.
If you could put a 380 in a guy's eyeball reliably, yeah, sure, carry the damn thing.
Technology has improved.
Right.
So, one of the big reasons that police moved away from revolvers was I believe it was the Miami shootout, the famous Miami bank shootout, and these guys came in with automatic rifles and held up a bank, and they got surrounded by the police. And so in the aftermath, after they had killed a couple police officers and they had finally gotten killed, they found a .38 special bullet that had been fired from the first responding officer on the scene, and it was 2 millimeters away from his aorta. And so the whole thing could have been ended by the first round that had been fired. So that's when
Had it been better than a 38 special.
Right, yeah, it would have been.
Right,
So
right.
that's when the FBI started getting interested in depth of penetration and things like that. And
Yes.
so then they went to 10 millimeter, and then they realized that 10 millimeter was a great and powerful round, but all their agents were complaining, especially the ones of the female persuasion, because the guns were too powerful and there was too much recoil. So then they invented 40 Smith & Wesson, which is basically watered down 10 millimeter.
Right. And, as such, it's clearly sexism.
Yes.
Clearly, I hadn't realized that before, that the
Yes.
40 Smith & Wesson is sexism. It's pandering to
Yes.
to males who, something like that. Anyway, I don't know. I kind of think that the cops like to play Army too much.
You're right.
Myself, I think that for a beat officer, a patrol officer, a 44 special revolver would be just fine. That would do the job he needs to do. And I don't see why a patrol officer has to have, 5 backup mags on his belt. That's not what I want him doing. These people get themselves in a lot of trouble, PR-wise, by trying to play Army. Like that famous picture from, those 2 fat guys down in El Paso behind the armored personnel carrier. These 2 fat piles of shit are coming around there with they're in street clothes, but they've got, all this shit hanging off of them and everything, and they're gonna, by God, show somebody some shit.
That's what we call Meal Team 6.
Meal teams. Ha! Yeah, you remember the picture clearly. I see.
And that was they were enforcing some lockdown shit. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
We,
thing.
Yeah, they're gonna shoot this bar all the way up because people are in it, and they're not supposed to be in it. So we're gonna put them all down, right? Oh God damn! I just love that picture. It was. What else do you need to know? About the whole damn thing. So anyway,
we actually paid the bail money to get one of those guys out of jail.
did you really?
Yep.
One of those 2 guys that was in the picture, or a guy, analogous guy?
No, it was a guy in Texas. I can't remember his name. It started with a J, I believe. But they got arrested for they basically were standing out front of a bar and were going to act as security. And the police came up and arrested them all. So we contributed $1,000 to his GoFundMe, and that got him out of jail, paid his bail.
You're talking about one of the guys that was working for the bar at the time. It's off duty.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if he worked for the bar, but he was there. I think he was a patron, actually, and was offering.
No, what I'm talking about is the 2 fat guys standing in front of, shielded from what, beer bottles, I guess, by the armored personnel carrier. Definitely Meal Team 6. and these guys are by God, they mean business, man. They're coming around that thing,
Yeah.
and there are some people over here breaking the goddamn law. This cannot stand. It cannot stand. It will not stand. And, you know, you show people shit like that, and you make them mad at the cops. You know, now the reason for showing that picture, I don't know if it was intentionally to make them mad at the cops, but it has that effect. It even has that effect on me, and I'm not typically as mad at the cops as some people are. I'm a lot less mad at the cops now than I was 10 years ago. You know, but because I've seen a lot of abuses of police power. I had a guy one time. Me and a girlfriend were driving on the street one day, and some jackass in Wichita Falls is on the special detail to enforce seatbelt laws. So we came down the street, turned left onto a street, and then 2 blocks later, this guy pulled us over and gave us both a seatbelt ticket. Well, she didn't live here at the time, and I did. She just paid it. And I said, we're going to court on this. We're going to court because this is bullshit. And this guy saw him at court. He got up on the stand and told the court, right there in front of the judge and Jesus and everybody else, that in the space of 2.5 blocks, he pulled up behind me, observed that I was not wearing a seatbelt, pulled to the left and pulled up beside the driver's side door, visually verified that I was not wearing my seatbelt, fell in behind me, and pulled around to the right to my passenger's side and verified that she was also not wearing a seatbelt, and then pulled back behind me, turned on his lights, and pulled me over.
Wow.
It under oath in 2.5 blocks. It just sat there with a perfectly fucking straight face.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got out of the ticket, but nonetheless, that was an interesting lesson. These people will lie.
Yeah, eye-opening.
It's eye-opening. They will lie. Now, not all of them are this chicken shit. I mean, but the thing that came into my mind is if this guy will lie about a seatbelt ticket,
what else will he lie about?
what will he not lie about?
Right.
Oh, God. And he, I think he finally retired with a pension.
It's the 80-20 distribution.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
80% of police officers are great people. We deal
Right.
with a lot of police departments.
That's
I train
probably
BJJ with a ton of officers, great guys.
Yeah.
And
I know.
You know, but
You're absolutely right, but the fact that they tolerate ass fucks like that,
that's
working
true.
with them is a bad sign. It's a bad sign. They shouldn't tolerate that, yet they do.
They shouldn't, but it's like teachers.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing happens, and they have the teachers' unions, they have the police unions. It makes it very tough to weed out bad people,
It
and they all
does.
suffer for it.
That's what it's for. That's what the unions are for.
Exactly.
That's their purpose. Provide job security to people who should not have job security.
Right.
Right. So anyway, what were we talking about? About ammunition. Anyway, you said something about pistol ammunition. So you guys load primarily for competitive shooters, right? So that's
Yeah.
223, 5.56.
5.56,
Right.
223,
223.
in rifle, 300 blackout in rifle ammo.
Right.
And then in pistol calibers, 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 357 SIG, 45 ACP, and 10mm. And we've gone hard after the competition market, and then that led into professional training companies as well. We do a little bit of law enforcement sales. It's not a huge percentage of our business. Most of what we do is direct to consumers. And we do a lot of frangible ammunition now. Training with steel targets is becoming really popular.
Right.
But regular ammo, you can't train real close to the target because you risk things coming back at you. So we
Right.
make ammo that has a special projectile that turns to dust basically when it hits a steel target.
Right.
So that's picked up significantly in the last year.
So what is your best-selling product?
9mm probably accounts for, I would say, 50% of our total business, and then 223 probably accounts for 35%. Right now it's skewed a little more heavily toward 9 because 223 components were a little harder to get at the beginning of this whole, COVID crisis, but 9mm components were still a little bit more available. Now, really nothing is available, so we're kind of at the mercy of our suppliers.
Everybody is.
Everybody is, of course. Things are clearing up a bit. It's a tough challenge because, obviously, I bought a whole set of weights for my house recently, and I had to wait in line just like everybody else to get stuff on the road. But, they can start getting containers in from China pretty quick, whereas with ammunition products, you can't import them from most of those countries, and the countries that you can import components from, the permitting process can take 6 to 8 weeks or more. So all the domestic suppliers know that, and they've been using the last couple of months to try to squeeze people like us out of business while they can raise prices on their own products because they make their own components. They're more vertically integrated than we are, and they're taking advantage of that. And we all know it. That's what they did back in 2016 before the election. That's what they did back in 2012 with Sandy Hook. But the difference now between what's happening now and those shortages is we're seeing a huge amount of first-time gun owners, people that are, in a lot of cases, liberal Democrats who are realizing that the police aren't going to be there to save you, and so you've got to figure out
because
your
you
own
defunded them.
Solution.
Because you defunded them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to be there to save you because you thought it was okay for them to not be there to save you.
Yeah,
I mean if they could have saved you anyway. I mean, now they're not even there to investigate what the hell happened. So,
they're just not going to show up. I mean, here in Michigan, there were several large police departments that said they weren't going to respond to minor property crimes because they were afraid of getting coronavirus. So, I mean, are you kidding me? How does that happen?
Oh shit! I don't know, but that's hey, you guys are a union state, right?
Yeah.
More money, less work. More money, less work. More money, less work for days and days and weeks and months and years, right? So anything they can do to get out of part of the gig, they're going to keep the same salary. I guess they're going to do. But I hate to say that, but living in a free state like Texas, we wouldn't put up with that shit.
Well, our governor just announced that wearing masks is now mandatory while in indoor spaces, and if you as a business refuse to enforce that you are subject to a fine. So we'll be waiting for that.
Your governor
Yep.
is an interesting woman.
That's one way to put it.
That's an interesting set of circumstances up there that a whole bunch of people in Michigan are willing to willing to put up with it. When's your election? Just out of curiosity. When is that gubernatorial election?
Governors, not soon enough, but
no.
Not for 2 more years.
Oh God,
2.5.
I don't know, man. She's going to be pretty easy to run against. I would bet.
You would think so.
You would think so, but maybe not, huh?
They ran an absolutely terrible candidate against her 2 years ago, and that's really the only reason why she's there. I'm not really sure who they're going to run against her, but they better start figuring it out because I don't think we can see 4 more years.
All they just need to do is just collect video. Video of her talking and then run that as the campaign. It's like running against Joe Biden. Just play videos of Joe Biden. That's all you really have to do. You hear about the situation in New Mexico?
No.
Oh God, we drive back and forth through New Mexico all the time because I've got the place in Colorado, and it is if you are a visitor from out of state into New Mexico, and you stop in New Mexico, you are supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days within the state of New Mexico. In other words, if you live in New Mexico and have been out of state for any reason, when you come back to New Mexico, you are supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days when you come back. You go across the state line to Texas to do a business deal or something like that, come back that day.
That's incredible.
You are supposed to quarantine for 14 days. If you happen to be traveling across New Mexico and are so foolish to not have made better plans and stop in New Mexico for the night, like you're going down I-40. Going down I-40, you get to Albuquerque, and you know it's 11 o'clock at night, and you want to get a hotel room. You have to stay 14 days. No shit. You have to stay 14 days. Masks are mandatory if you are outside of your house. Oh, it's the whole time. This Michelle Lujan, whatever her fucking name is of the same cloth as Heil Whitmer up there in
Big Gretch.
Big Gretch. She these people are do they not care, or do they not know what they're doing to their state by behaving in this bizarre way?
But I don't know how you can see. I don't know how you can't see what you're doing. And I'll be honest with you. As bad as she is, I'll tell you what makes me more angry. My wife teaches Pilates classes. I know, not a real workout.
Oh,
but,
good.
She does train though. So.
Oh well.
But the gym that she teaches at is the person that owns it is refusing to open until she has the governor's permission. And
Personal permission.
As a small business owner, I can't understand the mentality of somebody that owns a business and isn't desperate to see that business succeed to the point where that you would take the risk of getting fined so that you can make sure your business is successful. That is the attitude of someone who doesn't need the money. That's
exactly where that comes from. If you don't need the money and you can afford to obey irrational commands like that, then go ahead and, so in other words, this is a hobby gym for the owner.
Exactly.
It's a hobby. It's a hobby. She's not serious. She doesn't care. She's either a trust fund baby or not dependent on her own income for the maintenance of the existence of the facility. So, yeah, it's damn sure a strange thing to see people just roll over on their backs and obey this irrational shit like our governor. Like our governor here in Texas, a lot of us had a pretty good impression of him prior to this last little deal.
He started off strong.
He started off talking a good game, and then, oh my God, the cases are increasing. Cases. Have you people not figured out what cases are yet? Yeah. You even know what the fucking term case means? They don't understand that a case and an infection are two different things. We're not talking about the same quantity when we say cases and infections, right? And I thought everybody had that all sorted out 2 or 3 months ago because we were talking about it quite a bit, and the case rate and the case fatality rate and the infection fatality rate, 2 different numbers. Case rate, infection rate, 2 different numbers. The more tests you run, the more cases you're going to discover, right? And then couple that with the fact that The case data is fudged almost all the time. If you've got a new case rate, you're going to have to figure in an error percentage into that, and the errors sometimes are not intentional, sometimes they are. We've all heard the stories. And yet, the second biggest economy, state of Texas in the United States, was on the way back, from this silly ass goddamn lockdown, and now here we are back to where we were in April.
Square one.
And
and they're not talking about deaths anymore either.
No, you can't, because we're just talking about cases. Because that's the number that's going up, and that's what we need to do. Because if we can't make people afraid, then they won't obey our bullshit orders. People obey bullshit orders because they're afraid not to, either because of the fine or because you have convinced them with your news media that they are going to die. And we know who dies from this. And it's not, the 38-year-old guy walking into the sandwich shop to place an order with a mask on. Oh, it's So, I thought Greg was a better governor than that, but no, you just at some point they're all just politicians.
They show their true colors eventually.
At some point, they just want to be reelected, and his calculation is, well, I've got to do something, even if it's wrong. I've got to do something, even if it's wrong.
I've got to do something. I have to be perceived as caring, because if I don't do something, I'll be perceived as not caring. It's not that I'll be perceived as intelligent. It's that I'll be perceived as not caring. And caring is so much more important than intelligence. Feelings are much more important than... The funny part about this to people like me in this industry is, we've been seeing this for years, because every time there's a shooting of any kind.
Oh yeah.
That's what they screw. We have to save everybody. We have to save the children. If we save only one life,
if it saves the life of one child.
Same arguments repeated over and over.
Because people are innumerate. We are living in an innumerate society. People don't understand arithmetic. You tell them that 50,000 people are dead across the country. Well, that's half the population of Wichita Falls. And I live here in Wichita Falls. What if half of the people in Wichita Falls were dead?
Yeah.
And people say, they can't understand even the concept of statistics. They don't understand that, well, how many people die in the United States every year? 2.1 million people die in the United States every year, right? And how many people have died in the United States of COVID-19 so far? And that's 130,000 right now. Okay, think about this now. That's about 6%.
Even if that number's not bullshit.
And of course the number's bullshit. That death number it's utter, complete bullshit. But let's just assume it's not.
Assume it's true.
That's about 6%, right, of the total number of people who would have died anyway this year in the United States. Now, you take that statistics and you compare it to what we have done to the society. We've added $7 trillion to the national debt.
Unbelievable.
In this period of time. $27 trillion is not actually a number. It might as well be 27 quintillion dollars.
Yeah, it's not comprehensible.
It's not. It's incomprehensible. It's irrelevant too. It's completely irrelevant. As long as you can pay the interest on that, and at some point that'll stop being done too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then the number doesn't matter, and you've done that. And you've done that to everybody because you're afraid that a few more people than get sick and die every year are going to get sick and die. I'm sorry. You can't have a war on death. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to fix it up so nobody dies. People are going to die. And if you make the rest of us so goddamn miserable in the wake of your actions that we all want to kill ourselves, then more people are going to die than what you had in mind.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know how
the
this
suicide
is.
rates are up across the board. So
Oh,
we already
God,
know
yeah.
that. That's fact.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think we just need to make suicide illegal.
That's right. Well, that's what they always point
Death
to
penalty.
with gun bans. Is they say, you know, if we ban all these kinds of guns, then we will somehow lower the suicide rate. But we can look at, you know, Japan's got a higher suicide rate in the United States. There's no guns anywhere. And the suicide rate in Australia didn't change one iota when they banned guns in Australia, where they were previously available. So we have the data. We know that that's false.
Justin, the facts, although interesting, are irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
I mean, you have to keep that in mind. The facts, although interesting, are irrelevant. And, you know, I don't know that I could stand to be in the gun industry because everybody is always looking up your asshole. I mean, you can't go. How long do you go without the ATF in that building over there? Well,
we kind of get away a little bit better than the gun dealers because we're a manufacturer. So they tend to leave the manufacturers alone, but they come by about once a year. Yeah, the manufacturers get a little bit. So ammunition manufacturing has the most leeway, but we also have a firearm manufacturing license as well, so we're able to transfer firearms and things like that.
Well,
so
I would imagine that I would have thought that since that, you know, you guys were in the firearms manufacturing business, that they'd be up your ass all of the time because of the potential for you to ship these things. You know, and the shipping capacity. I would think that the ATF is real jealous of that authority and that they would be all over you about that.
Yeah, but we're not generally shipping to, well, with ammunition, we're shipping to individual people, but there are really very few laws that govern the shipping of ammunition. There's, in most states, at least, every free state aside from California, there's no background checking. We can ship ammunition right to somebody's door. And then with firearms...
Well, we've got to get a hold on that, don't we?
With dealer.
There's an obvious oversight.
Yeah, so... but with the gun stores, you know, they're dealing with people more often, so they're doing hundreds of transfers a week, and there's a lot more potential for error, and they're doing a lot more background check processes, so they keep a much closer eye on those people than they do us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it is an onerous process, to be sure. The laws are very... You know, the people who write the laws don't know anything about the industry, so you know they do.
Oh, they never. That's universally.
They have no idea what the consequences are, and who's going to be affected by it until it's already been passed.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with most regulations. The people that wrote them don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and as a result, nothing good comes of that sort of thing.
And it's weird with us because, you know, if you said that you were going to write a new healthcare bill for the United States, everybody would say you've got to include the doctors and the hospitals. But if you're writing a gun legislation of some kind, when we try to participate as an industry, they say, "Oh no, we can't have that because you guys are all."
It would be obviously an appearance of impropriety if you had any input into a regulation that directly affected your business. Well, that's the appearance of impropriety. God damn. Here's the general rule: 95% of everything that happens everywhere on Earth is bullshit. 95% of it makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever.
That's the cynical Pareto distribution?
I suppose. I think it's realistic, not cynical.
Yeah.
It's actually quite realistic. So
I agree.
So, so what are you guys going to do about this internet interference that you're experiencing?
So, we actually have hired an attorney. He sent them a demand letter today. We actually got connected with Stephen Crowder's attorney, half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond.
Right.
And so he's drafting some letters, and he's going to try to work some legal magic. And basically, our statement is that we weren't notified. To our knowledge, we didn't do anything that violated any of their community guidelines. So for them to just delete our accounts without at least the opportunity for them to say, hey, these are the things that we believe violated community guidelines, so you can either remove this or we will remove your page in its entirety. I'm not sure whether we would be willing to do that or not. It would depend very much on what they found to be objectionable, and we'd at least be able to make that choice. But they didn't give us that choice, and thus they didn't follow their own stated procedures.
Right.
So we feel as if we have a case in that regard.
You know, I've kind of on both sides of this issue in a way. On our website, I moderate the boards, and all of our board moderation is we don't have any unmoderated forums anymore. We got rid of those because they're just too goddamn much trouble.
Of course.
You know, you get people on there starting fights with each other and going on there and typing words like blurp, you know, using up my electrons. They're my fucking electrons. Okay. And as a result, I could see Facebook's position. It's their fucking company, and they can do what they want to with it.
Sure.
All right. And if they don't want me on their website, then I don't want to be on their website.
Sure.
And since that's the case, I need to become reliant on something besides Facebook or Twitter or Instagram to get my content out. And that's why you at phenixammo.com phenixammo.com need to become more reliant on your own website.
Sure.
I think it's probably futile to have an attorney deal with Fenix or with Facebook, Twitter,
Yeah.
Instagram. Because, I mean, you know, in the final analysis, this is their company, and it's their
Sure.
website. And if I don't want to approve your post on StartingStrength.com's forums, I'm not going to approve your post. And you can go ahead and get an attorney if you want to,
Right.
and sue my ass for not approving your post. But you know, it's my
And in general,
it's my board, and
it's
if I don't want it on there, right?
You know, we to be fair, both of those pages are sort of for fun and for us to show pictures, and it does drive traffic to the site.
Sure,
but
it does.
We're not allowed. We're already not allowed to do any kind of paid advertising, or advertise products for sale on any of those pages. And
Right.
we've never done that. So they've always been a limited
Just exposure pages.
marketing anyway.
Yeah.
It's exposure. So we understand that. You know, the issue with that today is they're sitting in this gray area of regulation where they enjoy the benefits of being a utility company effectively
Right.
as a platform.
Right.
AT&T can't hang the phone up on me if they decide they don't like what I say, and in exchange for that, they have legal protection. But they also can't edit content the way that a publisher can, and so
Right.
I think this is going to have to get. This is a much larger issue that's going to get sorted out, and people seem to can't. It's like they can't wrap their brains around it. But we did this with railroads. We did this with oil
Right.
companies. We've done this with utility providers, cable. As technology it changes and improves, this is going to be a continuing issue going on into perpetuity.
Oh, there's no
So-
doubt. There's no
Well-
doubt. The antitrust laws at some point will have to be applied in these cases. You know,
Politicians won't do it, though, because they all need it for their campaigns. That's the real
When
problem.
you-
Democrats, Republicans, all of them. They
you
all
can
rely-
control the railroads all day, right? But the railroads do not provide information to people.
Sure.
They provide goods and services to people. But if you control the mechanism by which people get information, then you
much more
control
serious
what they know and you control what they think. It's a much more serious problem. Absolutely. And they have very, very effectively manipulated. So, for example, Scott Adams last year said that the Democrats will, in fact, win the 2020 election because Google and all of the rest of the information providers that you rely on as a part of every single day on the internet, which is where all information is exchanged right now. He called it last year. He said, those people do not want Trump reelected, and they are going to fix it so that Trump will not be reelected. It's already been done. And he said the election's basically over. Whoever the Democrats run will be the nominee, will be the president, he said. Now, you have to really have fucked up if Biden is the nominee here. Because the only guy that could prevent that from happening is Joe Biden.
Well, that's why they're hiding him in the basement. Because,
I mean, those of us that have taken care of older parents or grandparents understand when we see Joe Biden, we understand what we're looking at, don't we?
oh yeah,
And, it's as if his family hates him. I mean, if that was my dad or my husband, I would, and he's out there going, I'd go out and I'd get him gently by the shoulders and I'd say, Joe, it's time to go home. Joe, come on. Come with me. Let's get in the car and let's go home and let's sit. Let's have a seat, put you in your chair, get you a cup of hot chocolate, cookie or two, turn on TV, put a robe on your lap, just relax. Come on, it's time to go home. But instead, this Dr. Jill Biden must hate his guts. That's all I can tell you. That she must hate his guts.
I think, truthfully, this is part of their plan because I think the underlying all of this, the left end of the political spectrum hates the fact that there is even a president. They think everything should be a collective decision, and so I think this is a way for them to
like it was with Stalin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is a way for them to delegitimize the office, and I mean, we all know who's really going to be making the decisions. It's not going to be Joe Biden.
Oh,
it's
not.
All the people that he's appointing.
The Democrat National Committee will be running the country if Biden is the president. But
He's put your boy Beto in charge of guns.
Texas
Beto.
There's a brilliant
Francis
idea.
Robert.
He might as well have put Francis Roberts' kids in charge. Beta is what I call him. Beta.
I mean, I got to be honest.
Beta
I'm losing faith in Texas. You guys are
Look, 2 years ago I would have said, fuck you, Yankee bastard. But at this point, I understand your concern. I really do. We've churned out some prizes here recently, haven't we? I mean,
you guys go through. It's all over.
I know.
I mean, Texas is. We are going to have a rehash of the Alamo.
Well, there's always South Dakota.
That's true.
Oh, she's got her head out of her ass.
Yeah.
That
Christy Nome, she's something else.
Christy's a good girl. God Almighty, that's a intelligent, courageous individual. She doesn't act like a politician, which is difficult to comprehend, but she doesn't. She's not acting like a politician, and you gotta admire her. And I think there's a few beacons of sanity here and there scattered around the country. But it doesn't take a particularly intelligent person to look at all of the cities that are on fire every Saturday night
Right.
and realize that without exception, every single one of those places has been run by leftist Democrats for the past 60 years.
Long
Without
time.
exception.
You're right.
There are no exceptions to that rule. And pattern recognition, I know, is not popular right now.
So here's a great little piece of information that a lot of people don't know. People think Detroit is a war zone, more or less, of violence, and in a lot of cases that's true. So, but what a lot of people don't know is that there isn't a single licensed gun dealer in the entire city of Detroit. If you look at the Detroit zip codes, there isn't a single place that you can legally buy a firearm.
There are no FFLs.
None.
The
only FFLs
city.
in the city are manufacturers, people like us that have a license because they manufacture parts, but they don't deal with the public. But there's not a sporting goods store. There isn't, but there isn't anything, nowhere.
Wow.
And we actually looked at opening our business in Detroit, and we were basically told that
we'd rather you
don't have money
didn't.
to grease enough palms in this city for that to happen.
Right.
So you're better off going someplace else.
Right. Well, at least they were honest with you.
Yeah.
To coin a phrase. God almighty, what are you guys going to do now? I mean, I don't think you're in a bad position. I just think what you do is you just forget about social media.
Yep.
And proceed on your own website. I spend about 5 minutes a day on Facebook and Twitter. I'll go over there and I'll put up today's content.
Right.
And I'll see if I've got any messages from old girlfriends or whatever the hell and there's of course there never are any. And then I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
And I don't interact with people on Twitter and Facebook. Those of you that are trying to get me to respond to you on Twitter and Facebook, I'm not going to do it. I have a website for that. It's called StartingStrength.com. Rusty just put that up on the screen. StartingStrength.com. And Justin is at PhoenixAmmo.com. Deal with us there. All right?
Yeah.
We have some control over what goes on there. Okay? But we're not going to talk to you on Facebook and Twitter. Because we can't, and sometimes because I don't work for Facebook. Facebook works for me. Right? If I interact with everybody and depend on Facebook, then I become Facebook's product.
Correct.
And I'm not going to do that. All right? To the extent that I can get on Facebook and promote and make it work for me, then I'll devote my time to it. But I'm not going to become a product of social media, because that's what you are. If you're on Facebook all day, you're the product. Because they're selling your information. They're making money off of you.
There's no doubt.
No doubt at all. And I'm not going to play that game. So come to our websites, and our websites are where we spend our time. That's where we write things. That's where we communicate with people that are interested in what we're doing.
And that's gonna be the next frontier. That there's in my industry in particular, one of the issues that we face is processing credit cards. So a lot of people don't understand how that works on the internet, but effectively everybody processes credit cards through a very small number of providers.
Yes.
Who handle all that stuff. And
all of those shopping cart products are provided by somebody else.
Correct. And there are only maybe 2 or 3 that our industry is able to use.
Right.
And those are getting fewer by the year. So that's a whole nother issue that we'll have to tackle at some point in time. We do accept Bitcoin, so that's maybe our saving grace. But
Well, the porn industry is in the same situation as you guys
Yeah.
are.
well,
Amazingly
we're
enough,
classified as high risk the same way that
the porn industry is quite analogous to the firearms industry in lots of ways, because lots and lots of people love you, and at the same time, the powers that be hate you.
hate us. Right.
They hate you. And, guns and porn, hey. I mean, you don't like guns and
not
porn,
fun.
something's wrong. Something's wrong with you. So there ought to be a coalition. You guys need to get together with those people and come up with your own shopping cart product that nobody can fuck with, because they're gonna drive your ass out of business any way
Yeah.
they can. They will wipe you out, and they will use the banks to do it. And they've tried it before. They've done it for a while before, and it's not. That's not going to be a problem that goes away.
Pretty soon, you're already learning the boogaloo mentality, Rip. We've already.
I think I've had it the whole time. I just didn't realize that the word applied.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, thanks for the shirt.
Hey, of course.
Thanks for your time
and
today.
By the way, we hope you enjoyed the other package we sent. It was a couple months ago. It was pretty big, black colored.
See, now I'm the Joe Biden. All right, you're making me into Joe Biden. What the hell was it? What are you talking about? Was it no? The ammo packages are they're little and they're heavy.
Yeah.
So what
No, this one was pretty big. But I think Bree blushed a little when she opened the box.
The chocolate dick, is that what you guys sent us? Did you guys send us the chocolate dick?
We did.
Bree still
But you
has,
screwed up the card.
Bree
You
still has
ruined,
it.
You ruined the joke with the card, though.
Bree still has that. Yeah, the chocolate dick joke. That's been 6 months ago. It's been at least 6 months ago. What did we do with that thing? It's somewhere here. We need to melt that down and make a pussy out of it. Let's do that. Let's change its gender. Let's regender the present, because males are oppressive. So, okay. All right, assholes. Thanks for being on the show, Justin.
Of course.
Hope to see you someday.
Yeah.
We will be in touch. All right.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching Starting Strength Radio this weekend. And we'll see you next time.